Bonjour everyone, I am Anne-Lise Cailliez and welcome to Parlez-vous CEO, where we teach the corporate talk and get real about entrepreneurship. Each week, I chat with founders and CEOs who build businesses their way, through the failures, pivots, and breakthroughs. And they bring the fire. Plus, I'll drop some golden nuggets of wisdom from my own entrepreneurial journey. This is your space to grow, learn, and evolve with a true growth mindset. Remember, success isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Now let's kick things off and get this party started. Hello, bonjour, hello, and welcome to another episode of Parlez-vous CEO. My name is Anne-Lise Cailliez, and I am your host. For those who are just joining the podcast, we are Anne-Lise marketing partners, and we specialize in helping female-led businesses scale their revenue. If you want to learn how to take your business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop the word growth in the DMs. So today we have a very exciting guest and who is also a dear friend of mine. I am with Shiva Basir, who is a pediatric dentist in New York. And Shiva, I can't wait to go over your story with you. I'm so pumped to have you. I've known Shiva for more than 10 years now. We've gone through the ups and downs on entrepreneurship. It's been so much fun and so exciting to share this journey with you. And Shiva, would you, in your own words, introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your journey to becoming a pediatric dentist and business owner?
Yes. Hi, Anne-Lise. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very excited to do this with you since you are a big part of my journey. So I actually moved to the US with my family 2 weeks before my 19th birthday. And I had to go to college right away. So it wasn't a lot of time to think about the future. It was very much so an immigrant story of like, you made it here, you do the best you can. And so I was always very good at mathematics. So I started computer science. I hated it after a semester. I just couldn't stand how isolating it was. So my cousin who was going to medical school at the time basically convinced me to go to dentistry. And it was all about practicality. So I finished college with mathematics because, believe it or not, it was the easiest way I could graduate college at the time with my English. And I did a pre-dental, which is the same as pre-med. And for dental school, I got into Columbia, and that's how I moved to New York. And at first, I hated it. Not gonna lie. I hated, I hated dentistry, and I thought I have student loans. I have to do it. There was a lot of soul searching at the time. And then I got a job at a pediatric office one day after I graduated. So I worked for a year and I got a job at a pediatric office. And I realized that even though I'm a lot more active, because when you work with kids, you just exert a lot more energy. You're constantly talking. Your attention is constantly, you have to stay vigilant and present. I realized that I am much less tired at the end of the day, and I feel uplifted by the energy of children, by working with children and being able to be in a playful state of being. So even though I already graduated, I decided to go back and do 2 more years to do pediatric. So that's how I became a pediatric dentist. Now, I worked as a pediatric dentist for a while, even I got hired by an orthodontist to start a pediatric dentistry office and later on go into business together. But that didn't work out. And I was kind of lost. And I had this limited belief that I cannot open my own office alone. And I cannot, I do need a partner because there are certain things that would be too much for me. And that's when you came to picture. I don't know if you remember, but we had a drive up to a gathering together and we were talking, and I was going through a lot at the time. That was 2 years ago. And I was telling you how I have all these big visions of what I want to create. And it's not just a regular pediatric dental office, but I do need a partner. And I was so convinced. And I remember you just listened to me the whole way. I don't know, it was like an hour drive or something. And then at the end, you were like, I'm going to help you start your own place. And I was like, okay. But that was the beginning of a journey that I am so happy I started. And I cannot, even though it was only 2 years ago, I cannot imagine having gone the other path and like waiting for something to happen versus what I'm doing now. So how was that for an
Wow,
introduction?
I love it. And of course, I remember this chat that we had in the car with the windows rolled down because the AC was not working and we had 1 hour 30 to go to Connecticut to a party. Of course, I do remember. I love hearing this story again and how Blossom Pediatric Dentistry came to be, how it was born. And I also love hearing, and that's going to be really helpful to our listeners who are maybe thinking about starting their own businesses, right? Because I think we tend to think, oh, maybe I need a co-founder, or maybe I need a tech founder, maybe I need a business person, maybe I need, we sometimes tend to think that we're not enough, that we need, external help. But I think in a lot of cases, especially women are resourceful more than they think, and they already have so much going on for them. And I love the example of you thinking, I might need a business person when you are already very business savvy. You very much have your head on your shoulders and you're very logical, and you're also really good at getting things done and finding solutions to things, studying solutions and finding options. So you have actually a very good business acumen that maybe you didn't think you had before because you never really had to, because you were thinking business is not my craft. I'm a dentist. So I love hearing that, and I hope it's going to inspire other people to feel that it's possible. Even if they're not necessarily business people, that they can have and they can start a business and that they have what it takes. So I love hearing that. And Shiva, do you remember a story with your first patient, your first kid patient?
I mean, not necessarily the first one, but I have a lot of really life-changing, cute moments with children.
Mm-hmm.
I have kids who have, followed me where, as I transition from work to my own business. There is a bond that forms when you work with children. That's just amazing because there's something very honest in their communication.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's what made me want to do this basically. I have some like cute drawings that kids have drawn for me that I have it on my fridge. I was thinking of maybe framing it for my office. I don't know. I don't know if it'll go with decoration, but there's been a lot of moments that my heart's been touched.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a privilege to be in a space where it's very raw and real because, dental visit is one of the first serious fearful, I mean, not first maybe, but one of the major childhood encounter with something that might not be pleasant or they might have fear around. And being able to like gain the trust and change that dynamic and relationship is like one of the most rewarding parts of my job.
Mm-hmm. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
And I think it's even more true for even as an adult. I think it's pretty vulnerable to go to the
Yeah.
dentist and have your mouth open the whole experience, even as an adult. So I can't even imagine as a kid, like all the thoughts that must be coming in and how important it is to have a good rapport and feeling comfortable and safe with your dentist. So Shiva, would you share with the audience how your business is different than others? Any specialty that you're honing in on?
Sure, of course. So, as part of my own health journey, I had some skin um, like rashes and issues. That was, got me on a journey of figuring out why that is happening. And on that journey, I started realizing there's, because I was offered just like anybody else, or just put steroid cream on it and just, so that you don't have to deal with the symptoms. But I had this inclination to want to find why. Why is my body doing that? Why is my immune system attacking my own skin? What is going on? So that got me on a journey of like getting to the cause of the issue, and through some personal growth and development, I realized that that journey was meant so I bring that to my patients and the way I practice healthcare, which is something that a lot of people are starting to realize, and that's really good news. But the old model of medicine, which is still very prominent, is symptom based, and it's very much so basically focused on one thing, which is an amazing thing. And that's why so much technological development has happened, like being hyper focused on one system or one part of the body and like really get deep into it. So there's a lot of gratitude in the way we have done medicine. But we're getting to this new understanding that there's a whole system that's working together. And there's a lot of things that we didn't know affect different things in the body. So the way I decided I'm going to practice is that I think of dentistry not something in the mouth, but how is that related to the whole health of the child who's going to be my patient. And there's
Go ahead.
Okay, so the way I practice differently, it's basically based on a personal experience that I had with my own health that put me on a journey of basically looking at health not in a way of symptom control, but actually getting to the root of the problem. And the other thing that it opened up to me was the ability to look at, or just the orientation of looking at the body as a whole and seeing how every system and everything affect each other versus the way that medicine is prominently being practiced, which is very system focused or like one part of the body focused. So like the way dentistry has always been is just like you deal with the cavity in the mouth. And if there is cavity, you fill it, or you do all these things, and you tell your patient, brush your teeth better, floss better, and I'll see you in 6 months. But what I and a lot of other people are discovering is that the mouth is actually a gateway to your health. You can get a lot of information about your health, and also you can affect your overall health in great ways. And for me, it was really exciting because it made me realize that I have the power to make a huge difference in my patients' lives. And I started paying attention to things that I wouldn't as a classically trained pediatric dentist, that um, put me on a journey of learning, discovery, and just looking at things in a way that is was very fascinating and has been very fascinating. And so, yeah, so I decided with my own practice, I am going to provide a sort of a holistic overall look at oral health in a way that I can support my patients' oral health. And there's a lot more details that we can get into.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a very thorough answer, and I love how it all came about. Would you tell us and share with our listeners a bit more about some specific service that you've developed to help kids specifically?
Yes, of course. So one of the things I'm very passionate about is the array and this understanding that, for some reason, and there's different theories of why this is happening, but for some reason, our modern life has created, how would I say it, has caused our jaws to underdevelop and not grow as far out and as wide as our ancestors used to before modern life. So and that's why you see most kids needing braces. Like back, when you encounter indigenous people, even now, who are not having the modern lifestyle and diet and all of that, they there's always room for wisdom teeth. Nobody had to take their wisdom teeth out during caveman time, for example. Everybody had straight teeth. I mean, teeth is one thing, but it affects how much room there is to breathe when your jaws are limited. So that's something that really relates what I see and what I look at to overall health of a child and how they get to develop, because how a child breathes when they're sleeping makes a huge difference in their growth development, so many aspects of their lives, and how the projection of their life can go basically. So that's one thing that I look at and I'm very passionate about. And I have people I work with. I go to these meetings and we talk about different ways to go about it. I myself, I'm going to get a surgery by a good friend of mine who's also an amazing surgeon, because I realize how much it's affecting my life. And I would like to have protocols and ways for children so they don't need to wait till they're adults and get surgery, that they can grow in a way that, the jaws grow in a way that they're breathing well and they're, having optimal health. Another thing that I'm very passionate about is microbiome or oral microbiome. We've been hearing about gut microbiome for years now, but only recently we're starting to realize that oral microbiome is also very important and has really huge impact on our overall health. For example, oral microbiome has a direct effect on the heart, health of the heart, blood pressure, certain diseases that if you have certain microbes in your mouth means that you can develop these certain diseases, and also things like gum disease and other things that causes inflammation in the body. So there's a lot that can be done and can be looked at. And I really have developed a way of making sure I look at all of these things when I accept a child as a patient.
And for our listeners hearing the first time about microbiomes, could you tell us more about it and how you solve this, how you help your patients with it?
Yeah, of course. So, one of the most important ways that we can affect the microbiome is through diet, but also there are different ways that you get exposed, because your mouth is one of the gateways to the outside world. So there's so many ways that, your microbiome can be affected, but there are things that you can do to correct that. There's certain probiotics, for example, that you can take. There's definitely certain diets that you follow. There's certain mouthwashes and toothpaste and all of that can affect your microbiome. But one of the things that I do, especially for teenagers or if somebody has some sort of chronic problem, is that I do a microbiome testing so that we can have the actual, have a picture, the map of the microbiome of the patient. And then the company that I sent to Oral DNA, they will list all the microbiome that we see, but also how are the ways that we can improve based on what their specific microbiome has shown.
I love this whole word of microbiome. I keep on learning things just being around you and what you're working on. It's so much fun. So Shiva, going back to you being for the first time a business owner, if you had a magic wand to solve one main pain point in running your pediatric dental practice, what would it be?
So many. Can I have more than one?
Absolutely.
I don't. Okay, so first of all, I always feel like there's not enough time in the day, during the day, for everything that I want to do. What I'm working on is to systemizing everything to the point that I can grow and scale and do better without just spreading more thinner. So for example, like one of the issues is obviously getting the message out there and being able to get the patients going. So if I could know what is the best way to market, that would be amazing. And I'm just also kind of person who really don't like to, I'm not big on social media. I don't like to talk about myself so much or put myself out there. I'm very private as a person. So, I usually try to defer my, some of that stuff to outside forces. If I could find a way to really optimize marketing and optimize time and being able to systemize everything, I think that would be just perfect.
Do you think that it's important for you as a founder to be the face of your business?
Yes, of course. And I am the face of the business. But am I going to be the one coming up with the ideas of like how to be the face of the business? No, I just, there's so much for me to do and think about. And like just as a provider, to be optimal at what I do, it's already a full-time commitment, having to think about so many different aspects of business. I want to learn to, what is the word called when you delegate? I want to learn to really delegate correctly and find the right people and be able to have something coherent and systematic that works so that so I can focus on what I love, which is the stuff I was talking about, which is how is all these things related in the body and what am I looking for and how can I help my patients the best way.
Absolutely. I think it's a very common struggle for founders to be caught in the day-to-day and operations and business and creating content when instead they would love to focus on why they started the business in the first place and their genius zone. So it is hard to juggle it all together, hence the importance of finding good allies, good partners, good staff, and building a good team and having that mindset of systemizing so
and
that
use
you're not
AI.
and using AI. Would you tell us more about this and share with our listeners what you've been implementing for the business?
Yeah, I mean, nothing like on a business level, but on a personal level, I've been using AI, and I'm getting to like have the whole system set up in a way that can optimize everything. So basically, being able to use Claude or Chat GPT would be able to I have to be very careful because there's HIPAA, and I don't know if you know what HIPAA is, but it's health information protection of my patient's health information, basically. So I can't really use AI in a way that would have access to that. I mean, there are ways, but it would make it so much more complicated to be HIPAA friendly. But for now, what I'm doing is that I'm basically systemizing to optimize my calendar and my time, and also business decision making, financial decision making, and all of that. Not to have AI make the decision, but just kind of have AI as a support system to be able to use it, to really be optimal with my time and energy. Basically.
I love hearing that. I love how you're embracing technology and not being scared of it. Instead, you're really seeing it as a support system so that technology can do the things you like doing less, while again, you can focus on the most important tasks. And going back to on a more personal insight, Shiva, what's your favorite thing about creating healthy smiles for children?
I mean, it's creating joy, right? And what better way to be than create joy health for children? I mean, they're just bundles of joy. And when also you can see how much you're influencing them. Like I remember people who affected me in my childhood. I remember my teacher in like third grade who changed my life. I don't think she remembers me. I mean, maybe, but you can have the most effect in somebody's life when you do it like on an early stage of life when you have an influence. And, being able to influence so many people's orientation towards health throughout their life, I can only imagine the ripple effect of that in their lives and the lives of people around them. And as I'm getting older, I'm realizing there's no greater joy than being able to create joy or create something good for people out there, even if I don't see the effect of it directly. Although I do, that's what's amazing about it, is that the interactions that I have on a daily basis, there's so many uplifting moments. I feel so blessed having got into a business that was originally intended to be about making it as immigrant family and just like practicality, and it ended up bringing so much higher form of satisfaction.
I love hearing that. That is so inspiring. And I think that can really be a good insights for people who maybe started or picked a career for pragmatic reasons and then find purpose, and meaning to what they've been doing. So I love hearing that.
And everybody can do it no matter what you're in. I just feel like it's like an orientation in your own mind, and then the path will show up. Like I remember the clear decision that I made, and it was a very, I guess, spiritual moment, for lack of a better word, but it was something that I was like, okay, this is my higher purpose. My higher purpose is towards breath of life, joy for children who come in my life. And that was it. I didn't have that idea before. Like my career was very separate from who I was outside in a way. You know, I mean, I still had the connection with the children, but I thought of it as like, oh, I go here to make money. And then I go here and express my joy and my who I am as a person. And being able to merge these two together and have it be a path of growth with joy and all of it with challenges and all of that, that was such a blessing. And I think it's available to everybody. You just got to put the intention. It might not happen right away, but it'll come.
I love hearing that. And I love how you reconciled your business world, I mean, your career world, and who you are as a person, and to become more whole. I think that's very profound. And I think a lot of people are yearning for this, to have that coherent, holistic person and finding meaning in what they're doing, and purpose. And I love that. And Shiva, if you could have an impromptu dinner guest, either a celebrity, or it can be a health tech leader or business innovator, who would you want to invite over for dinner?
Can they be dead or do they need to be alive?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone? Well, I mean, I have some favorite, I don't know if I mentioned I'm Iranian, and I have some favorite Iranian poets like Rumi, Hafiz, that I would definitely love to have a conversation with. Also, maybe Einstein, because I think it'd be so fascinating to talk about his theories. Carl Jung.
Wow. That
Yeah.
would be a good table.
Yeah, nobody business, sorry. But I mean, it'd be
I love it.
cool. I'm not against that. I'm actually going to an entrepreneur gathering in 2 nights. My friend's getting an honorary reward for entrepreneurship. I don't even know what it is, but apparently I'm gonna maybe meet some interesting people. Be cool.
Ah, that's lovely. And Shiva, so pediatric dentistry can be emotionally demanding. So what does self-care look like for you? What type of routine do you have, or have you figured out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling. One of the things that I was mentioning earlier is that I don't have enough room to breathe, so which affects my sleep, and I'm trying to get that fixed myself. So I know that once I get better sleep, that's going to change a lot. But one of the things I make sure I do is I have my workout routine and alternate between yoga and like this core workout that's like on those machines and are like very heavy. To just because I feel like yoga is like the biggest anti-aging thing. Like if you stay flexible, then you're staying vigilant. That's as far as the physical stuff. As far as spirituality and mental fitness, I think it has a lot to do with how you orient yourself towards the problems that you have or the challenges or the tough times during the week. What I realize is that if I welcome the challenge and think of it as like, okay, I'm being challenged, I'm alive and I'm experiencing these things. It's a completely different, like, I'm just so much happier. I'm so much more relaxed. It's just everything changes more than any other self-care routine. It's just how I think about my life. So I told myself, I was like, I never want to live a life that's challenge free. That's not who I am, because I get joy out of facing challenges and growing out of them. Now, instead of having challenges come at me, I want to go towards challenges, right? So like being an entrepreneur, for example, I could have had a much more relaxing lifestyle if I didn't want to become an entrepreneur. But funny enough, I'm so much happier and more relaxed ever since I embraced this challenge and look at it in a way of like, oh, I'm excited. Let's see what today's going to be like, So,
Wow, that's so inspiring, and I'm sure that's going to be very helpful to people listening to it. So when challenges are coming your way, you can either get paralyzed, or you can embrace and realize that challenges are a vehicle for growth. I
yeah,
love that. This is really powerful. This is the reframe. It is so important, especially
yeah,
as an entrepreneur, because you have to do it every day.
yeah,
I call those moments pivot, pivot, pivot.
yeah, pivot. And
Yeah.
that's the best self-care. That's the funny part. I haven't found a better self-care than that.
I love it. I think this is a great golden nuggets of wisdom, as I like to call them. It's going to be really helpful to people listening. And
Thank you.
speaking of wisdom, Shiva, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self about
Oh my God.
entrepreneurship or about life in general?
Oh my God, if I only could. um, so much. I would tell her to what I just said, embrace all the challenges, get into it, not think of it. I mean, I was a mess when I was in my 20s, honestly. But, having been a mess is also why I am who I am. So no regrets, but I would tell her to really enjoy the challenges, enjoy all those people that I see every day, and one day I won't see anymore, and just really get into it. And I would tell myself to be more confident, because why not? Like,
I love
such a
that.
waste of time not to be.
Yeah, I love that. Why not?
Yeah.
And Shiva, what's coming up next for Blossom Pediatric Dentistry?
Well, I'm just so I'm introducing the functional, holistic, comprehensive exam because I still have people who want to have the regular and all the services, but I still would help them to embrace this way of looking at things, like holistic way of looking at things. But I am now offering the package for comprehensive, which involves the microbiome. It involves using ozone for dental cleaning, and using laser for repair of the gums, and going deeply into diet and lifestyle, and what are the causes of some of the problems that might be. So I'm very excited about that. And the rest is basically, I'm just excited to keep growing and getting the message out there. This is for now, but like, I have a greater vision in, like, hopefully maybe 5 years. I don't know how long it'll take to basically create a center for children where they can, kind of like like a home, they call it dental home, but like kind of medical and dental home together, but in a way that is not just, the routine medical and dental checks, but it is, okay, this is what's happening at this stage. How are we optimizing growth and development at every stage? And children, especially if there are some chronic problems or whatnot, they can come and get help, because you can start as early as a newborn to set things right. And there's so many ways that can be done. So I would invite other practitioners who think like me, or, have a center kind of like that for parents who know about this or want to learn more, to be able to have a place to go that matches their philosophy. So that's
I
my
love that.
vision.
That's a great vision. I love.
Yeah,
The
thank you.
future
And I
is
want to
bright,
get to a
Shiva.
point that I can dedicate one day a week or one afternoon a week to just serving underserved and having children who can't afford to come and get the kind of treatment that's really, luxury.
I love that. I think it's a great goal, Shiva. So where can people find you and learn more about your services?
Yeah, so my website is Blossom Pediatric Dentistry NYC.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is at Blossom Pediatric Dentistry NYC. And you can, send me a message on the website or on Instagram. And yeah, let's do this. Let's connect.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Shiva, for
Thank
being a
you.
guest today. What
Thank you for having
very
me.
nice and enlightening episode. And I love your mission. I'm 100% behind
Thank
you.
you. You've been a
Thank you
great,
so
great
much.
influence. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for being here on Parlez-vous CEO and sharing your story. And that wraps up today's episode. I am Anne-Lise Cailliez, and I can't wait to join you again next week. Thanks for listening to Parlez-vous CEO today. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. It helps us keep going. And connect with us on Instagram at Parlez-vous CEO. I am Anne-Lise Cailliez, and I know some days are harder than others. On those tough days, think back to why you started. What you're doing today matters, even when you can't see the results yet. Ideas are great, but it's what you do with them that counts. Find everything we talked about today at parlezvousceo.com. See you next week, and you've got this.